I just don't think supercars are that cool anymore.
For the person who may have had too many kids and they're regretting their choices and they're kind of miserable about it, they just give them a little bit more acceleration and maybe a little burble in the exhaust. Just something to give them some spark and the will to live. This is a segment that should exist. It's ridiculous that it doesn't. Before we get started, just want to make an apology about the audio. If you can hear it, it is pissing down rain here.
And so far, we don't have control of the weather. Sorry.
We're going to kick off with bare bones sports cars.
That's right. We're talking things like the Mazda MX-5, the BMW M240, the Nissan Z, the Subaru BRZ/Toyota GR86, all the way through to things like Porsche 911, Aston Martin Vantage. When we say bare bones, we're talking about, remember like Mitsubishi back in the day used to do the Lancer Evos in RS form.
Because they knew they were going to be race cars.
Yeah. Or they knew they were going to be modified in some way.
They had smaller brakes, they had steel wheels, but they still had all the go-fast drivetrain.
We're talking about having all of these sports cars that we all love so much with vinyl instead of carpet. Minimal tech, absolutely minimal tech. No rear parking sensors, no cameras.
Wind down windows.
Yeah, no power operated mirrors.
Nothing.
Super hardcore. Not even color coded bumpers.
Manual only?
I think manual only. Now the reason for this, have a look at some of the classic sports cars of the 80s and 90s. We're talking the AE86, the Ford Escort.
Any S chassis Nissan you like.
S13, S14, S15, E30 and E36 BMWs.
There's a reason why they are held in high regard now.
And also look at the prices of some of these things. Like an AE86, a really good one, $30,000, $40,000, even $50,000.
The rear-wheel drive platform just makes a better enthusiast car.
Absolutely. So if you then go, well, let's take a Mazda MX-5. Imagine if there was an MX-5 that had the full bare bones treatment that retailed for $20,000 or $25,000. Mazda wouldn't be able to make enough of them.
No. Any of those cars, especially the 86 and the BRZ, I think they would sell heaps of them.
And then when you go to the other side of the market, like Porsche 911 and Aston Martin Vantage, imagine an Aston Martin with no color-coded bumpers, or a 911 in you've got Carrera T. That's still too schmancy.
Yeah.
Imagine how cool a 911 would be with wind-up windows in 2025.
Steel rims, that'd be very cool.
So cool.
Yep. And speaking of bare bones, what about bare bones utes and workhorses? And like heavy-duty versions. Ford have just released the Ranger Super Duty. They're not going to be able to make enough of those. And we all know the 70 series, right? That is kind of what we're talking about.
Good point.
But that car is insanely expensive. Toyota just taken the piss with the price of that.
Absolutely. You look at the Mahindra pickup. The only reason that didn't sell in hotcakes is because it's incredibly ugly.
It's probably one of the ugliest dual cabs ever made.
Exactly. But then you look at the Ineos Grenadier, or what's the dual cab ute version of it called?
Don't know. Cal will find a picture of it.
I've gone blank on what that thing's called. Quartermaster. Quartermaster. That's the one. The Quartermaster. Too expensive, right? Imagine if Mitsubishi released a Triton that had the Super Duty's towing capacity GVM GCM, but then was just boxier. And again, super simple. Wind-up windows, vinyl flooring, hardly any tech at all.
Yeah, I mean, they do make entry-level Hiluxes.
Yes.
They're still very expensive. And some of the really entry ones are just the two-wheel drives. They're not really a proper dual cab or all-wheel drive.
No. And also, I still don't think they're heavy-duty enough.
No.
I think the reason you buy a 70 Series Land Cruiser is because they're just so tough. Yeah. But, with a few mods, they're selling for $200,000. That's insane. I don't know how many people are going to take their $200,000 full drive properly bush bashing, but if you could pick up something like a Mahindra pickup for, I don't know, let's say under $80,000.
Half the price of a 79 Series.
I think how this market doesn't exist is beyond me. Look at the popularity of 70 Series. They're proving that there's a market for it, so more manufacturers should do it.
And speaking of low-tech, affordable workhorses, what about the new Slate?
This is one of the most exciting cars, if not the most exciting new car I can remember in such a long time.
Designed from the get-go to be infinitely customizable.
And like you look at BYD Dolphin, GWM Aura, they're fantastic for what they do, right? And the Slate is making it even cooler again.
Yeah.
We need more vehicles like the Slate.
Yeah.
I think where the Slate is exciting and where other manufacturers hopefully copying what they're doing could be really great. It reminds me, not that I remember the 1960s, but it reminds me of what the Mini was in the 1960s. Prince Charles owned one. Paul McCartney owned one. Yeah. But then your neighbour down the road could also own one. It was a classless car. It was a car for everybody.
Toyota do make the IMV which is available in some markets, which is in that family, but we don't get it here.
No, and the reason we don't get it is purely because of legislation. Yeah. So we're not allowed to have it because it's lacking certain safety features and whatnot. But I think this, in terms especially with EVs, I think this should be the future of EVs. Yeah. What I love about the Slate, it's not pretending to be everything to everyone. It's designed specifically for around town, maybe a little, weekend getaway here and there, but it's cheap, it's customizable, and it's just fun. And that's what an EV should be.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
And the next car that should exist, or at least be more affordable and more available to more areas, is small, light commercial Japanese vehicles.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking about things like the Toyota Probox, the Nissan NV200, the Toyota Town Ace, the Honda N-Van, more vehicles like the Suzuki APV. These already exist, and yes, you can get some of them into Australia via grey imports. That's fantastic, but these should be just available to the market.
Again, government legislation and autonomous emergency braking rules are probably making that more difficult. Exactly. That's a whole other video, I think.
But the reason this market needs to exist, I have multiple mates that have small businesses that they want to buy a small commercial vehicle, but they want to hold on to it for 5-10 years, ideally as long as they possibly can. And at the moment we have, Renault Kangoo, the Citroën Duolingo, I think it's Berlingo technically. Yep. We've got a lot of French and European small commercial vehicles, Volkswagen Caddy, another one. Yeah. But then you've got European parts costs, and they're not necessarily designed to last massive lengths of time. I just think the Japanese stuff maybe suits the Australian market a little bit more, and I can't believe Toyota don't bring at least a Probox or a Light Ace in, or Nissan with the NV200. Yeah, NV200 you can get in hybrid as well. Like, how good's that? Wouldn't you? Yeah. If you're a delivery guy, you've got hybrid, save some fuel. Yep.
Now, I love this category of vehicle. 911 Dakar or the Sterato Huracan. Huracan. Sterato-fy everything.
Yes. We're talking really anything that has 2 seats and rear-wheel drive that's in like a coupe body shape. Yeah. There should be an off-roading rally version of that car.
Yeah. Actually, you know what it is? It's everything from our bare bones list. The opening, every car on that list, you should be able to Sterato-fy. Imagine a Sterato-fied GR Yaris.
Oh my God.
That would be cool.
Well, it would be a GR Yaris rally car.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah. Actually, just on that, imagine, Subaru XV. Yep. Crosstrek XV. Why doesn't that have at least WRX running gear? Imagine an XV with a manual gearbox and a 2-litre turbo or a 2.5-litre turbo or an STI version. If there was an STI Subaru Crosstrek XV with proper jacked up suspension,
pumped guards, that would be freaking cool.
Again, Subaru wouldn't be able to make enough of them.
No, I agree.
That would be amazing. Every mountain biker I know would own one.
And this is a no-brainer. Speaking of Subarus, what about the Levorg manual? Why does that not exist?
I know.
Like, they would have sold twice as many of those cars.
Back to the Sterato or Dakar versions of every rear-wheel drive 2-seat sports car. I don't know if you've ever taken a rear-wheel drive car out into like the bush onto a fire trail, like a Falcon or a Commodore, or in my case a Nissan Pantera. Sorry, I always call it. We used to call it the Nissan Pantera, but the Nissan Pantera was. I spent years of my life drifting one of those things through like fire trails. That is more fun than any other driving you can do. You can obsess over your acceleration times and your roll racing and what a car will do around the Nürburgring. No. Where the real fun with driving is out in a paddock somewhere in something with rear-wheel drive. So why don't we have a Nissan Z jacked up on all terrains?
I don't know. It was Paddock Bashan that was responsible for getting me into rallying in my 20s. Couldn't afford to continue it, but it was paddock bashing. God, best time ever.
Yeah, we need those.
Now, here's something else that really should exist. Really good quality wiper blades that are way cheaper than the OEM
Imagine it, also if you could just order them online so they were delivered to your door, and then like make them super easy to actually fit, and make sure that everyone that's involved in ReDriven uses them all the time. Hang on a sec. That does exist. It's Wipertech wiper blades. And even better, I'm pretty sure if you hit the Wipertech link down below, you're going to get 15% off and free express shipping. Who would have thunk? Okay, if you're a fan of ReDriven, you know what I'm going to say. Wagon versions of the Lexus IS and the Alfa Giulia. As Cal's going to show, there are already renders of these in existence. Yeah. Come on.
That Alfa looks good.
That Lexus looks amazing.
Yeah.
Again, if Lexus and Alfa made those two cars, they would not be able to sell them. They wouldn't be able to make enough of them.
Wagon everything, I say.
Look at in Australia, M3 Touring, right?
Yep.
There's still they're on back order. You can't just walk into a dealership and get one. People are crying out for the M340i Touring so much that people are grey importing them in from Japan. I think wagons are coming back.
What about a wagon Kia Stinger? That would be a cool car.
Wouldn't be hard to do, because it's already a liftback, isn't it?
Yeah, it would look cool as a wagon.
Why don't they do a Camry in a liftback?
They used to do the wagons. Would that be the Uber driver's car of choice? I mean, already Camrys, but what about a wagon?
Yeah. Yeah, but please, Lexus, I know you're not really doing the IS anymore, but please do just, it's only going to cost a few $1 billion to make it happen. And I know, like, the Alfa rely on the Stelvio for the practical version of the Giulia, but come on. Yeah. Giulia wagon and Lexus IS wagon. Lexus IS 500 wagon. Oh, my God. Stick a fork in me. Done.
Oh, yeah, that would be cool.
Okay, next up, we're going to talk, let's go Toyota RAV4 / Corolla Cross kind of size, but with proper off-roading chops. I'm talking dual range gearbox, locking diffs, decent suspension, decent underbody protection.
Yeah, go back to the 80s and imagine a modern day version of the Toyota Tercel. It was a bit lightweight, but it was sort of knocking on that door.
Yeah, but even the Subaru Impreza RV, that had the dual range gearbox.
Yeah, and the Nissan Terrano, that was a thing. That was a proper forward drive. That had all the forward drive, locking diffs, low range, everything you could ask for, and it was pretty small.
You know why there's a market for this? Look at the Suzuki Jimny. There's still waiting lists on the Jimny. Everybody loves them. Although some people don't like them because they're maybe not quite big enough, maybe not quite practical enough, maybe they're a little bit too off-road focused to actually make it a nice car to drive around town. Yeah. So split the difference.
Plus they're way too expensive.
Way too expensive.
And they're only that price because they know they have no competition.
Exactly.
Yep.
Imagine if Toyota released, again, Corolla Cross, make it look boxy, make it look like a modern take on the FJ Cruiser, but don't give it suicide doors so the kids don't panic when they can't get out of the car in a hurry. So make it a 5-door wagon, boxy, jacked up, decent off-roading suspension, decent chops, so you can take it to the sand dunes, take it, up some bush track.
Take it to the snow.
Take it to the snow.
It's going to go everywhere.
But at the same time, it still kind of drives like a RAV4, so it's quite nice around town. I think they would sell. They wouldn't be able to make enough of them.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, this next one also dear to my heart, being a musician for a living for a very long time. Vans. Vans are an untapped market here.
Yep.
There's 3 categories of vans that we need to start seeing come around. First of all, good-looking luxury vans. Then I'm going to give hints and then we'll elaborate on them.
Yep.
Performance vans. Don't laugh. It can be a thing.
Should be a thing.
And proper off-roading vans.
Okay.
Let's start with the good-looking luxury vans.
Okay. Now, luxury vans like the Toyota Alphard
and Velfire.
Not that good-looking, some say.
No, yeah. It depends, I think, where you're from. I don't think they're very attractive.
They've got the luxury market there.
Yeah.
But there should be more of that.
Exactly. Look at this isn't a van technically, it's more of a people movie, but the RB1 Honda Odyssey, that was a good looking thing. Yeah. Let's use that as the inspiration for the aesthetics, so you make it look really cool, because I think that's the problem with vans. They don't look great. So make it look more attractive, but then inside give it proper, wow, what is going on here, levels of luxury.
There are a couple of Ford Transit vans that they have tried to make look good. Yeah. All crappy diesels though. They could put the 2.3 litre EcoBoost in a Transit van. Yeah. That would be a weapon.
Yeah. I know that you've got the Mercedes-Benz V-Class, but build quality's interesting, reliability's,
and it would be too dear.
It would be way too expensive. Yeah. We're talking let's bring Mitsubishi bringing a people mover back or a van back that actually looks cool. Yeah. Now the thing you laughed at me about, but go with me on this. Performance vans. I'm not saying let's set some new Nürburgring lap time. We're not going roll racing in it.
No.
It's sort of like the warm / hot hatch version of vans.
Yeah, for the person who may have had too many kids and they're regretting their choices and they're kind of miserable about it, they just give them a little bit more acceleration and maybe a little burble in the exhaust. Just something to give them some spark and the will to live.
But then the tradie version of that, like imagine I remember back in the day when a lot of tradies had SS Utes and XR8 Utes.
Would it be the Raptor version of a van?
We'll get to that.
Yeah,
that's coming.
No, I don't mean off-road shops. I mean the Raptor's the sporty version of of the Ute. Would it be the sporty version? Would be like a Raptor van?
Yeah, I just think Well, like Hyundai did their drift bus. Yeah. Right. I want to see the Staria N.
Yes.
Just lowered a bit, nice engine, rear-wheel drive, traction control and stability control. That it's going to be hard in a Staria because it's front-wheel drive.
Yeah, but
I think the performance van thing. There's a market for that.
And most of those vans are rear-wheel drive too.
Yeah.
Some front-wheel drive. Some all-wheel drive, but the rear-wheel drive variant would be cool.
But even if they're front-wheel drive, some of the best hot hatches are front-wheel drive. So, I know, good luck engineers making that happen. But but most of all, I think this has got to happen.
This is a segment that should exist. It's ridiculous that it doesn't.
Yeah. We're talking proper off-roading vans. Nissan. Mitsubishi Delica, the Pajero-based one.
The first generation one. That thing is a proper Mitsubishi running gear, as you said. It's a proper off-road car.
Yep.
And the next Delica, they just watered down and it was kind of pathetic.
Hey, no, I love the D5.
It's not a proper four-wheel drive like the first generation. It looks better. It's a nicer shape. I'll give you that, but it's not. It's a Nimbus. What is it? Yeah.
There's an Outlander.
Outlander.
We always have this argument.
Nimbus.
We always have the Delica argument all the time, or Delica argument all the time. I like the D5. You like the old Pajero one.
Yeah.
They're both great.
Well, and here's the thing too. What about all the people getting new Hi-Aces and putting four-wheel drive running gear in it and spending a fortune doing it?
Yeah.
The fact that market exists.
I know.
Car manufacturers or van manufacturers should go, we should make a more off-road version of this.
Even from Toyota, like so many mines and so many big businesses that are trying to ferry loads of people far off into the wilderness are buying these modified full drive kitted out Hi-Aces. How are Toyota not going, there's a market for this, need to make this happen?
And make a bare bones version so people can make a camper van, make a work van, do whatever with it.
Yep.
It should exist.
Look at how brilliant like the Unimog based expedition vehicles are. That but smaller is what we're talking here.
Yeah.
Yes, you can get a Volkswagen Transporter or again a Mercedes-Benz V-Class with all drive or full drive, but again you've got the issues of cost of repairs, backup support. There's not a lot of dealerships further out of metro areas. Again, Mitsubishi, Toyota, we need to have these.
Yeah, make that car.
Yep.
Now, speaking of customising your van with aftermarket stuff, you have to check out Automotive Superstore.
And even if it's not a van, if it's a four-wheel drive, a performance car, even if you just want to tow anything, Automotive Superstore carry over 400,000 different products from over 500 different manufacturers, and everything is covered with a full manufacturer's warranty. Check them out. The link is below. We bloody love them. So will you.
And what about super affordable small cars like Ignis and Up? What about that segment?
Yeah, I think the only thing we have left now is Picanto, really.
Is that the only one?
I think so. There might be a couple of others, but like we know they exist.
Yeah.
They are around the world, but we just don't get them here in Australia.
Well, again, that's the legislation thing with all the safety.
I know. It's so ridiculous. Like, an Ignis is the perfect car for around town. Super reliable. We did a video on it. Yeah. Sensational car.
Yeah, that's a dying segment.
The Up is fantastic, and it just died out because it was only available here with a manual transmission because most people can't drive manuals. That's bloody annoying. But why? Okay, they have to be. I reckon they've got to be less than $22,000. Again, keep it simple. Wind up windows, manual operated mirrors.
Yeah.
Give it a screen for sure for CarPlay and Android Auto, but just keep it simple and keep them cheap. For around town, that's all you need. How does it not exist? We're talking bigger than a K car, but smaller than like a Yaris or a Mazda.
Yeah.
Should exist.
And speaking of small cars that should exist, what about small hot hatches that are actually affordable?
Absolutely. Back when we were younger, the Swift GTI was the car, right? That was fantastic. And we have the Swift Sport, exceptionally good thing. Yeah. But then you look at, like Fiesta ST when it wrapped up was well over 30 grand. Polo GTI was pushing 40 grand.
Yeah.
We're talking hot hatches, like the Nissan Pulsar Triple S back in the day, or the EG or EK Civic, or Swift GTI, under $30,000. Again, doesn't have to set a land speed record.
No.
Just fun.
It should come to the market in the form of a Honda Jazz Type R.
Oh my God.
That is the car.
That.
Like if there was a segment there and they're all trying to outdo each other, that would be the...
Jazz Type R... Is that the best car in the world? That might be the best car in the world.
It's the best small car in the world.
Don't put the crazy engine out of the Civic Type R in it. Don't do that.
Oh no, they should do that.
That would be amazing. But I think if you just went the 1.5 litre, maybe with a supercharger on it,
give it proportionate amount of power, like the Civic.
Yeah. Oh my God, I want that car. Set of Recaros in there.
It's so cool.
Wind-up windows.
Manual.
Lightweight. Championship white.
Torque steer, wheel spin, understeer. Great car.
I want a Jazz Type R on one side of the garage, and I want a Lexus IS 500 wagon on the other side. Done. Okay, this one is going to upset quite a lot of wealthy people out there. We want to see proper manual versions of Ferraris, Lamborghinis, McLarens, Aston Martins. Okay.
Yep.
Not saying get rid of the paddle clutch automatic ones.
Yeah.
But Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Aston Martins, and McLarens that are really hard to drive.
Yeah, and in terms of enthusiasts, that would really weed out the men from the boys, wouldn't it?
It certainly would. I think now that, I don't know, is it just us? I just don't think supercars are that cool anymore. Because your nan can drive it, it kind of takes away the legitimacy from the car. Like, yeah, they're fast, but anyone can drive them fast.
Give it a kind of an aggressive clutch.
Yeah.
Make it a bit of a pain in the ass to drive.
Yeah, make reverse parking in McLaren an absolute nightmare. Like, your legs, like, bloody hell, this clutch is nuts. And you're trying to find, like, you almost, you can't change gear when it's cold, so you got to know how to warm it up. And make it a proper driver's car. Make it what these cars used to be. This is what made supercars cool. Yeah, the aesthetics are a huge part of it. But I think a massive part of why supercars are so cool, or were so cool, was because if you were seen driving one, it meant that you actually survived driving one. Also, the market has already proven that there is a market for this. Look at the 911 ST, manual only. The thing's like $800,000, and they can't get enough of them out there. The GMA T50, the people wanting the T50 way outweighed how many cars there were, manual only. And I bet it's a bloody challenge to drive. Sure. Again, bring legitimacy back to supercars.
Legitimacy, I like that.
There you go, Look, overall, I think there's an overarching opinion here, is just make things simple again. Like, we don't need all this excess in cars. Just make them simple, affordable, fun, give them some personality, make them easy to personalise.
Yeah, we think they'll sell more of the less car and less of the more car.
Beautifully put. But what do you think? What other cars do you think should exist? Let us know in the comments. And we'll see you on the next one.